Hi. Sorry if I'm looking tired and old and cranky and all that. It's cold today. It snowed last night. Yes,
frost, heavy frost.
No, it snowed last night, excuse me, but there was snow on people's lawns. Gary keeps insisting it was just heavy frost, but I know snow when I see it, and it's on people's lawns and hoods and on their cars and things like that. So as we were driving, I saw it. We went to the doctor today. Anyway, it got cold enough. We got a bit of snow. It's not much. It's like what we would call a skiff snow. So just, enough to make it drop down below freezing, obviously, and there was some sort of liquid in the air. It may not have been snowfall like rainfall, but there was enough in the air that it was heavy snow. Well, not heavy snow, heavy white on the ground. Yeah, I just had a thing with my camera too. I don't understand what happened. I had to reboot my computer. But I had my camera on and it was working fine. And then I looked for something kind of that I thought might be behind it, and it wasn't there. And I lifted the lid back up. I hadn't shut it, I just lifted it up. And I couldn't get the camera to look at me anymore. I wasn't there. It was on because it had a light. Only now the light's green and then it was red, so maybe it was something, I don't know. It was very strange anyways, and I couldn't get it to work, and finally I just said I'll reboot the computer, and it took it a couple of minutes for it to reboot and then think about when it was coming into the program to do something in the program, which isn't normal. Because the camera in Microsoft is pretty easy to use. I mean, you click a button, it comes up. And then you click another button to get it to start. You can take a photo or you can take a video. It's never been a difficult thing to use in Microsoft. When they put it in, I believe they put the camera in with 95. And it's always been fairly easy to use. It was either 95 or 98 that the camera actually came into existence on the computers. Anyway, they've always been really easy to use. Click a couple of buttons and you're going. But today, I don't know. It's just a day. Anyway, we went to the doctor, and my pressure did drop. I did stop using the Advair, which would be my purple puffer, the one that I use. I always call it my purple puffer because the end of it is purple. The writing on the box is purple. Anyway, I did stop using it last Wednesday. And my oxygen in my bloodstream is fine. What it's actually doing to my lungs and the tubes going into my lungs and stuff, nobody can tell until they do an x-ray. So I won't be doing that until I get back to Alberta and find out how that's doing. If my oxygen on the oximeter drops low and stays that way consistently, then I know it's probably because of a lack of using the Advair. I should be fine. And if I move around a lot and I need a rescue puffer, I can still use the Atrovent because it is not steroidal. So I'm fine. The oxygen in my system has actually been really good. I've been, even when I'm sitting in it, it's really quite cold. And cold bothers me terribly. But even if I'm breathing quite cold air in the house here, which I do pretty much every morning, I'm still not dropping below about 87, 88, which is pretty good, considering that when I was in Alberta, there were times when I was dropping into the mid-60s. 66, I think, was the lowest I went. They were very concerned then. But, and I was on oxygen 24/7 at that point. But yeah, when I moved around a lot, and that was the apartment that we were in. The house we lived in prior to that had something in the air, some sort of something. New York, at one point before we moved out, mentioned that the lady had spilled something in the one bedroom, and that he had tried to clean it up, and there was still a stain in there. I did see the stain on the floor, never thought anything of it really. But that could have been in the air the whole time we lived there, and may have helped to speed the COPD degradation. The oil effusions were not caused from that at all. For whatever reason, my body decided that they needed to stay, and nobody could figure out why. So I had those to fight with as well, which was also causing major problems with my breathing. So, but right now I'm doing very well. After we got back from the doctors and I settled a bit, because we get here, we have to move around, we've got to move things around, I got to go to the bathroom, all these things have to happen pretty much right away. So I sat and I settled for a bit, and then I did my oxygen, and it was actually 97. So I'm very, very happy with 97, because that's high. That's high for, a normal person is up in between 95 and 100, so yeah. So being 97 at that point was really good. A lot of times when it's first thing in the morning and I get up and I put my socks on and go into the bathroom, come back, things like that, I drop down to 90, and 90 is not bad as long as what they want you to do when you've got COPD, like pardon me, we had turkey sandwiches for lunch. Anyway, what they want you to be when you have COPD, like I do, is they want you to stay above 90. As long as you're above 90, they're fine with it. 90 and above is good for somebody with my COPD. Normally, just sitting and resting during the day, I do my COPD, I do my oxygen with one of these little things. You may or may not have seen one of them. Just a little oximeter. You can get them. They're fairly cheap. I think we got this one. I don't even know where. We could have picked that up at a thrift store. MCC in Calgary. You get a lot of things by donated from seniors. And it would be things like that. The senior had passed away or gone into a home or something like that. And because MCC was good to them, they would be good back to the store, and they would give stuff to the store. And they had quite a few things like this. So it could have come from there. It could have been somebody gave me it. I can't remember. I've had it for a number of years. Anyway, I tend to do this, especially now that I'm not using the Advair. I tend to do this several times during the day just to make sure. When you're sitting still is when they take it. Because they don't want to take it when you're moving around, because your heart rate goes up and all sorts. I mean, moving your arm like this and down again raises your heart rate, if you didn't know. It depends on how fast you move it and how you move it. Direction and all sorts. Like if you move your arm very slowly up and you move it out slow like this, it will help the blood in your bloodstream, or the oxygen in your bloodstream flow a little bit better, but it won't raise your heart rate. I learned all these things because when you're getting funding for the oxygen, which can be really costly a month, and I sure couldn't afford it, but I did need it. When you're getting funding, you have to be tested every so many months, and you have to be below 90. You have to actually be below, I think, at 88 or something lower. And so you need to be there for, I forget how many minutes, and they have a thing, they hook it up to you, and they explained all this to me. And there was one young fellow, he said stand up really slow, he had me doing all sorts of things to get the blood, the O2 thing down past, like it was sitting at like 89, and he needed it down another 1 point or two, but without raising the heart rate, because if you raise the heart rate, they can tell from, like, because the government gets the strip, right? So they can tell that that's what's happened, and then they will either demand a new test, or they will just say no. So you have to do it right in order to keep the oxygen. He knew I needed it. You know, he tested me, but they don't test. The government doesn't test when you're moving, when you need it. They test when you're not moving. So you have to sit still, put the thing on. I think it was 10 minutes. I believe it was 10 minutes I had to sit with this thing on, and it had to be at 88 or lower. And if it was above that, then they could say no to the funding. And I forget how much it was, $400 or something a month for the machines. Wow. We couldn't do that. I mean, we were barely able to do much of anything, because we were paying so much for the apartment by then, and we just couldn't afford it. So I had to be funded or go without oxygen. It was, you know, do things like that, or not have oxygen. And at that time, I desperately needed the oxygen. Now I'm good, but at that time I had 2 pleural effusions, and it made my life hell. It was really, really difficult. So right now I'm doing good. Breathing wise, I'm doing good. The eye pressure went down to 22. He wants to see it hopefully by next week into the mid-19s, or the mid-teens, I mean. So 14, 15, 16, somewhere in there, and keep it there. This eye was 14 again today, which is fine. If we can get this eye to around the same amount, I don't have to have an operation. If this isn't, he's going to make arrangements. We'll have to go to Victoria. He said, how hard is it for you in Victoria? I said, it's difficult, really difficult. It's not impossible, but it is really difficult. And it is. Victoria is very difficult for people like us. I mean, living in an RV and trying to get back and forth to doctors, and you've got no place to park an RV there. Victoria is harder than here. And we really want to go into a park, and in Victoria there's no parks that will accept us. Here we've at least found something. And running back and forth to the doctor in Victoria will be too expensive. We just couldn't afford it to drive back and forth, especially if we have to take this, and we don't have another car. So we have to take this back and forth to Victoria, and we have to find a place to park it, and the only place to park it is at that Elk Beaver Lake Park thing, and it's not safe to leave it there. I mean, it's hardly safe for us to be in it there. So, while we were there, not the last time we were there, but the time before that, there was actually somebody that was accosted with a knife and robbed. And we had been told by the police to be very careful of anybody. So, you know, I mean, okay, maybe they did catch that guy, or maybe he went another way, but you're right on the edge of the road. There's people that don't want anybody like living in the vehicles there. It's just not safe. Their RV parks are much more expensive, and they don't want us anyway. Our vehicle's too old. We're too old and ugly. So, you know, we don't make a mess outside our vehicle. We keep our dog nice. We keep us nice. But, you know, that's the way it is. So, But we did find the one here, and we're going to be going and seeing them at the end of the month. Next week, actually. I think not this Saturday, but I think next Saturday I'm going to take a drive out there, and go and talk to them. Have a look at places they've got, like the spots that we could possibly want. Because the last thing we want is to be in and under trees and all that stuff. No. We need open space, as much open space as possible. Let the sun into our lives. Be able to see the sun and see the light all the time. I don't like trees. I'm not a big tree lover. They can be over there. I like them over there. Next to me, no, and especially fir trees and evergreens. And then most of them have got some sort of bug, and they attract things like spiders and bugs and bees. Not bees, but wasps. Wasps love them. And I'm definitely afraid of things like wasps and hornets, and they love camping out in them. So that's not me. I like a view that way. I like me here, yard, big space. That's me. I like my space here, and I like it open. And I love flowers there, not next to me. And I like bright flowers. I'm not a big lover of certain flowers, and I'm not a big lover of every flower. And flowers usually attract bees, and bees frighten me. So and I mean, you love what you want, but it's not me. It's not me. If I have a tree in my yard, I wanted to have trees that lose their leaves in the wintertime so I can see the sun. Because in the wintertime, I like the sun. I'm a sun girl. That's who I am. I don't want to live where it's super, super hot. But if I live where it's hot, I know how to cool it down. I lived in Alberta, and it's hot there. In the summertime, it's nothing to get a week of plus 40. Nothing. Yeah, in August in particular. We lots of times would get a week or two of plus 40. 40, 41. And we all deal with it. And we didn't have air conditioning when we were at Leo's. We didn't have air conditioning when we were in the little motorhome. But we weren't super hot. We weren't dying. How, yes. It's not that difficult to deal with if you know what to do. So we did. But drink lots. Splash water on yourself. There's lots of things you can do. Sit out in the air. That's when you want shade. In the summertime when it's hot. Give me some deciduous trees that have leaves on them. And I'll go sit under a big old tree in the shade. Well, and if it's a big tree, you don't need to sit next to it. You can sit quite far away from it and still have the shade and the coolness. So that's what I like. I like deciduous trees. Leaves that fall off, blow me off in the summer, and keep me warm in the wintertime. Let the sun through. Let me see it. Let me feel it on my face. But anyway, so the whole eye operation thing is still up in the air. I don't really want one. Not because I'm afraid of an operation, but I don't want one here. Let's put it that way. It's another new doctor. I would rather have a doctor that I know who's going to operate on me rather than one I have no clue. I don't even know a name right now because we'd have to find one to be able to do it fairly soon. Because they're really worried, because even at 22, pressure's still too high, and there's so much damage on that eye that they're really concerned. The thing nobody's asked me is, are you having any pain? Because I'm not. I that eye is basically pain-free. Once in a while, when I use this mat, it stings. But it does that, once in a while. And it's got nothing to do with the damage to the eye. It's just, maybe my eyes are a little drier when I put the drop in or something. Once in a while, when I use this one in both eyes, it'll sting both eyes. So, it's just, I think it's got to do with the dryness in the eye. And you can't put teardrops into your eyes and then put those in right away. You have to wait. You have to give them at least 5 minutes minimum, and I don't like putting them in that quickly after anything. Even today when we were at the doctor's office, I'd had dilation done to my eyes. So he could look in the back of my eye and see exactly what he was kind of dealing with. So if he sends me to Victoria to have this operation, because there's nobody here. He used to be the guy who did the operations, and he doesn't operate anymore. So if he sends me to Victoria, he needs to be able to tell them something, and he needs the latest, not like when I was seeing Dr. Crafty. So I don't really want to have the operation here if I can help it, because I don't know who this doctor's going to be. And I have a hard enough time with doctors. So, there's that. I try to do what I'm told, if it makes sense. The things I've been being told to do make sense. So I'm doing it. And if they didn't make sense to me, I would question. And I would question again, and I would question again. Until it made sense, or until I just said, no, I'm not doing that. Because I don't just do things and nod my head. I've never been that person. Never. From when I was a little kid on, I've never been a follower. Just because you have initials doesn't make you any better than me. Like you have initials after your name. Good, that means you worked at something. But that's all it means to me. You earned the right to be called blah blah. But it doesn't make you any better than me. It doesn't make you worse, it doesn't make you better. As far as I'm concerned. So I'm not a stupid person by any shape of the imagination. And I have found over my adult life that if I didn't look after my own medical stuff, nobody would. So I ask questions. And I've had doctors say, you can't ask that question. And I say, well, if I can't ask that question, I'm out of here. And I leave. Because if you can't ask the doctor questions and get answers, you don't belong in that office. And they shouldn't be a doctor, as far as I'm concerned. But we'll see what happens next week. Blabbered on quite a bit here about goodness knows what. And I'm trying to keep my spirits up because it's been getting harder. I'm working hard to try and, breathe and keep that going. Do my eye meds on time, keep that going, keep my blood pressure down so that nothing interferes with my eye pressure. I mean, sometimes it just gets to me. And then I'm tired. I shouldn't be. I sleep. I go to bed and I sleep. I barely hear the dog moving around. And usually when she's on the bed with us, and she has to be because it's so darn cold at night. So she's up on the bed and I get her blanket and cover her up with her blanket so that she's warm too. Because we got to remember she's an old girl too, She's got creaky old bones as well. So I get her up beside, I give her her nighttime cookie, and then she cuddles down, and she's kind of cute. She does, because she's kind of goes in, and she goes to sleep. And then she'll move around, and usually I wake up when she moves around. I'll move over for her. I'm not doing that. Gary can wake up and get up, and I don't even get up. And that for me is really unusual. I'm just sleeping. And I'm sleeping late in the mornings too. It's not like, I'm sleeping until my back hurts. And then I get up. I can't lay anymore, my back hurts. Because it's cold, and I don't want to get out of bed when it's cold, and yet, I gotta get up. Gotta get up, get going, get the drops going, get the meds going, get the this, get the that. So, but, just listen to Winston Churchill. When you're going through hell, keep walking. Keep walking. Winter will end. Spring will be here. We'll go back to Alberta, see doctors, find out what's going on. We'll have to figure out what we're doing when we're there. If we're leaving, if we're staying, what we're doing. We don't know at this point. We can make all the plans in the world, but if we can't do it, we just can't. Every time we make a plan, it doesn't seem to work anyway. We came out here, and Alberta has had the most beautiful winter they've had in years. Oh, yeah, that was nice to know. We've had friends in the Calgary area who told us that, they've got no snow, haven't had for a while. Beautiful there. Mind you, tomorrow it could be minus 30 and 3 feet of snow, but it could be that in July too, that's Calgary, that's southern Alberta. You can suddenly get these Chinooks in the middle of winter that last 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden it snows. Although they have had winters like this, where there's no snow. I've seen a couple of winters like that when I was living there. There's absolutely no snow. We got snow the one year I was there. I think it was in the end of January. I think it was the end of January. Lasted 3 days and was gone. It's quite a lot of snow, but it wasn't really cold. The sun came out, and it wasn't a Chinook. It was just warm. It was sunny. And it just came out. It was gone. They rode the bikes pretty much all winter. Just motorcycles. Which normally go away in the fall and they don't come out until spring. Unless there's a Chinook comes in and it lasts for a couple of days, and then they'll haul them out and ride their bikes for a couple of days and then put them away again because 3 feet of snow's on the ground again, But, yeah. But this winter has been odd. I've been watching the Weather Channel, and they've had a couple of cold spells. They've had a bit of snow, but it hasn't been huge amounts, and it hasn't been long either. See, in Alberta, if there's a week of cloud, everybody's depressed. Everybody's whining because there's no sun, me included. When's the sun coming back? And all of a sudden there it is, and it pokes its head out from behind the clouds, and the clouds go away, and the sky is this brilliant blue. It's an absolutely beautiful blue, and it's just sunny. And it'll stay sunny and it'll be cold as hell out. Cold, cold, cold. Minus 30, minus 25. And the sky will be blue, and the sun will be out. And it's cold. But you just put your boots on and trudge out. But the sun makes you feel better. And the cold is different. It doesn't get through to your bones, like cold here, that's what it is. It gets right through into your bones. My knees are hurting, Gary's knees are hurting, his hips are hurting, his hands are hurting. He has arthritis in some of his fingers from things that happened when he was younger. I'm lucky I don't have that. I don't have that problem. But he does. I got I've got knees, you know, but he's got his knees and his hips and his fingers, and it's hard sometimes. And here, this dampness gets right in. When it's cold, it's really cold. It feels colder somehow. And we've met other people that are from other places that have gone to Alberta, and they are here now. And, you know, they all say the same thing. Yeah, the cold here is different, and it is. It's much. I don't know. It's hard to explain if you've never been here, because I couldn't fathom it, and nobody could explain it to me. I don't think. You have to come here and experience it, and then you understand. But it's a deep cold, and very unpleasant. Very unpleasant, and everything is damp. Everything has a dampness. It's like I don't know. It's like, you know, my computer. I have to turn it on in the morning and let it heat up and dry out on the inside, and just let it do that. I sleep with my phone under the covers because I don't want it to get that dampness into it. Although it is only a clock to me, it's still, you know, it's a clock. Well, I use it for phoning too, but only certain people. But you know, I mean, it's things like that. Like, I can't sleep with my computer; it's a bit too big. But yeah, it's weird. So once we get in, hopefully, into this RV park, we got to go and look at it and make sure that, you know, it's going to suit us. But we've got to get away from here. This is a little too cold. And when we were in the city today, and we drove where the doctor's office is about halfway to where that RV park is we want to be in. And as we were driving in, I could feel it getting warmer and warmer and warmer, and it wasn't because of time. It was just, you could feel it in the air, that it was warmer and warmer the further south, and it's not that many miles. It's, you know, it's not that far. It's maybe 4 or 5 miles. But there's that big of a difference in temperature. When we came back up here, you could feel it. As soon as we hit a certain point, you could feel it start getting colder. And this place here with the frost on the ground, it's quite cold because it never really sees the sun, this area. So probably great in the summer. I mean, it's great. But it never really gets super hot here. Like, you never see plus 40 here on the island. You'd never see it. It might get up to maybe 30. I don't know if it even gets that high, but if it does, it would be very sticky, very muggy. But this would be a nice spot in the summertime, because you do have that constant shade because of the hill and stuff. The creek actually, for a few days, was actually quite high. Gary kept going up and looking at it. It's not that much high above us, but he said there's no way that it could come down the hill. But you know, I was a little concerned because we're sitting at the bottom of that hill. But you know, it didn't. It just receded and it was fine. There's a little waterfall up there, and there must be some sort of I don't know, something down toward the other way, whatever the direction is it goes, where it goes out into the, I imagine it goes out into the bay there somewhere. But, you know, but people coming here, they come here, they stop, they have a bit of a rest. I imagine in the summertime it's even busier than it is now. But in the wintertime it's busy. It's a very busy place for whatever reason. Tonight we were lucky when we got back. It was, 3:30ish when we got back, and we were lucky that there was nobody parked on the side that we like to park on. So we could pull in right away. Otherwise we have to wait on the other side of the road until there's enough room for us to get in. But anyway, I've now talked for more than half an hour, and I really didn't mean that to happen. I'm sorry. But hopefully you find this amusing or something entertaining in some way. I will let you go, and I'm going to upload this for tomorrow, Thursday, and so that you know what's going on. And then my appointment is again next Wednesday. They like to do it on Wednesdays because that's his laser surgery day, which is the only surgery he does now. He doesn't do the actual cataract surgery and things like that. So I will let you know what happens after Wednesday. Prayers and fingers crossed and good thoughts and all the rest of it are always thankfully accepted. Just please we need all the prayers and help we can get. But life goes on, and we just have to keep walking. So I'll talk to you next week. I'll let you know, and hopefully everything's going well. Next Wednesday is also our payday, so it's been a very long month. We managed to get through okay though. I mean, we actually even have a few pennies left over, so that's not too bad. But anyway, we will talk to you next week, and I'll probably upload next week's on a Thursday as well, because if I'm seeing the doctor on Wednesday, I may as well upload it rather than waiting until Saturday. I may as well upload it on the Thursday following, just so that everybody who needs to know knows. So I will talk to you then. Take care, and I hope your week is wonderful. I hope the sun shines for you, but it isn't too hot, because some of you are in warmer places. So I hope it's not too hot for you. All right, take care. Bye-bye.